Hey everyone, this is Zoe Reyes out here at the Peak Counseling Group here in Sacramento, California. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about what to expect in therapy. So, a lot of the times people call me to schedule an appointment and they have never had experience coming to therapy in the past. And so they kind of are at a loss of what types of questions to ask me on the phone, as well as what to expect in therapy. First of all, I know that making that first phone call is a little overwhelming and probably a little bit off putting because basically what you're doing is calling someone to talk about problems, basically talking about problems with a stranger. And so it can be a little bit nerve wracking. Believe me, I understand. So I wanted to put some of those feelings to rest and put you guys at ease, so you have an idea of what to expect when you come to your first meeting. So just to remind you, every therapist is different. Everyone has their own therapeutic style and approach to meeting with people and how they work with you. So I can only speak to how I deal with my sessions and how I run them and what to expect with me. So generally, the first meeting that we have is called an intake session. And so it's pretty boring, that first meeting. Usually it's filling out paperwork. I try to send out the paperwork to my clients so that they can fill it out ahead of time. But sometimes that's not always the case. It doesn't happen that way. And that's fine. We can fill out the paperwork together. And so I kind of go over things like confidentiality, what's important, what my role as a mandated reporter means, going over fees, insurance questions, and then also I do a lot of history gathering. Basically, it's a lot of questions about your childhood, your medical history, mental health history, what your relationships are like with friends, with family, how you are at work in terms of performance, um, those kinds of questions. And then also, then we start talking a little bit more about what brought you to see me. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Get an idea of what you want to get out of therapy. A lot of times people say things like, for example, with couples, it's I want to improve communication. We want to improve our communication style. It's really vague when people say that, and of course, that's what we want to do. But communication looks very different for each couple. So that's why we delve a little bit deeper in terms of what that would look like. If it's an individual that I'm seeing, people would probably say, I want to feel better. I don't want to feel depressed anymore. And so, okay, what would that look like? What would you be doing differently at the end of meeting? Um, and so, with those types of questions in our first meeting, basically what we are doing is working together to develop a treatment plan. A treatment plan is basically a goal in terms of what are we going to be working towards. And then we would go a little bit more into detail in terms of what steps, what is that going to look like, so for example, okay, you're depressed, you want to feel better at the end of counseling, and so what are we going to need to put in place? So that could be things like, um, okay, I don't have very good coping skills, so I need to learn some coping skills. Um, and so those would be things that I would be teaching you in the next several sessions. Or I need to build a stronger social network. Okay, and those are the steps in terms of how are we going to establish a social network? Okay, communication is an issue. Do we have some anxiety meeting new people in your life? Those kinds of things. And so those would be more like objectives, steps in how to reach the big overall goal of making you feel better, helping you feel better. So that would be generally the first session. We'd lay out all of that. And then every session following would be just implementing those steps. So all the steps that we discussed in our first meeting, we would be laying that out and working towards that each session. Sometimes people have questions like how often should we meet? And it's all dependent. Usually with me, I like to meet with people, my clients on a weekly basis. Once a week is generally how I like to see them, at least for the first several sessions. I would say probably about 5 or 6 meetings. And that's because I like to use that momentum. We were motivated enough to make that phone call and come to your first appointment. So I want to continue building on that. Um, but I understand sometimes it's difficult to do that, especially if you're paying out of pocket. So at the bare minimum, I would like to meet with people generally every other week. Anything less than that, it's not going to be very productive or beneficial for you. Because usually when I see people every 3 weeks or once a month, that's generally just maintaining your current functioning. And I usually drop down people to meeting every 3 weeks or once a month when they're transitioning out and they're doing well in treatment. Because we would be working more towards discharge and graduating from therapy. When I am working with clients, I like to check in with them probably every 4 to 5 sessions. How are things going? Do you feel like you're benefiting from these meetings? Basically, it's just checking in terms of how you would feel you are progressing in the services I'm providing to you. Because basically, you are the one that's in control of your treatment. And I'm here helping you navigate through that to help you reach your goal. And I like my clients to be very open, like, no, this is not working for me, Zoe. I want to go down this route. And that's really good communication skills. I like seeing that. Sometimes people don't feel comfortable telling me that, but it's great in terms of practicing your assertiveness skills and helping you reach your goals. Well, that's it for today. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight in terms of what to expect in therapy, at least with me. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll have all my contact information and my social media handles on the box below. But I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.